Hi guys, it's Carolyn from True Crime Chat with Mommy Ramblings. We're going to take a look at the Gabby Petito case timeline. This tragic case of these young people going west in Gabby Petito, 22-year-old Gabby Petito's converted transit van, ending with her death somewhere along the end of August. We don't have a cause yet for her death, but it has been ruled a homicide. So we're waiting on, more from the coroner's office whenever that is released. Now, let's take a look at what we know so far as we piece together just what happened here. And as we do this, Brian Laundrie, her 23-year-old fiance or boyfriend, depending on who you speak to, is missing. And police and the FBI now is leading a search in the Carlton Reserve in Sarasota County. That's an almost 25,000 acre reserve, and it's full of swamps and alligators and snakes and just horrible conditions, mosquitoes, and it's been raining, and it's just been such a search for everybody, exhausted in this area, and yet he may not even be there because the only reason they're searching there is this tip from his parents, Chris and Roberta Laundrie. So we'll talk about everything now. Let's start with the timeline, and I think this will be a good video to have out there for anybody that's just catching up with this case and needs to get that timeline down. So let's take a look. I'm going to try to get as much information in here as I can for you guys to bring any of you that are new up to speed. And we've been following this, most of it live coverage, just keeps going through as it's coming in, okay? Gabby Petito was born March 19th, 1999. She grew up in Blue Point, Long Island. She met Brian Laundrie in high school. He was a grade ahead of her at Bayport Blue Point High School. They were not high school sweethearts. They appear to have started dating in 2019. Gabby then moved with Brian to Northport, Florida. Brian's parents lived in Blue Point as well. They relocated to Florida, and they appear to have started dating back in 2019. Gabby and Brian moved to Florida about 2 years ago, moved in with Brian's parents in Northport, Florida. Brian's parents relocated to Northport, Florida. They bought a house down there, okay? Have some kind of a juicer servicing business. And so they've relocated from Blue Point to Northport. Brian has one older sister, and she is just about 10 years older than Brian and lives in South Carolina. She gave what I call a non-interview because she had no information, basically, and said that she hadn't spoken to Brian since he came back, and she wishes that there was more information she could give. And that was early on. But let's get back to they moved down to Florida. So Brian and Gabby shared a active lifestyle. They liked hiking, they liked camping, they liked exploring, and Gabby purchased a transit van, which they converted, and they were living the van life, hashtag van life. Gabby wanted to start a YouTube channel, a website, social media, and they wanted to take this trip out west, visit a lot of national parks, and document it on their social media, their Instagrams, like I said, and the YouTube channel. Now, turns out that Brian was not exactly supportive of Gabby in this endeavor, and we found that out at a police cam on August 12th, when she was explaining to the officer that he didn't think that she could do this. And she was working very hard, and her father will corroborate that. She was working very hard, and he was even helping her with some items from, over the miles, helping her with email accounts for the website and stuff like that. But So they embark on this trip. And they leave on July 2nd from Blue Point, Long Island, and set off on this journey. It's not the first time they've journeyed together. So they actually did a journey like this in a very small car. I believe it was a Nissan Sentra. It was a very small car. And they decided, that's why they decided to get the van, and this should have been better. This should have been, you know, great, okay? Unfortunately, we know it wasn't, okay? It was so much worse than great, right? It was horrific. It's a tragedy. Families lost their daughter. And Brian's on the run. He's not answering questions. Where's the justice for Gabby that we all want to see? Okay, so yeah, just absolutely horrific. So on July 4th and 5th, they were in Scott City, Kansas, Monument Rocks. And I'm going to just put some pictures up here, and I'm going to put some pictures up from their Instagram. You can see these are July 4th, Monument Rocks. And Gabs Petito, that's Gabby Petito, says there's no place like the tiny home we built at Bizarre Design. That is Brian Laundrie's Instagram account. Hashtag van life, hashtag travel, hashtag adventure blogger. Around July 8th, they arrived in Colorado Springs. Colorado Springs, they are when they were in Colorado Springs, they went to Slice 420, which is a pizzeria. Went to that pizzeria, and then that Angel Wings photograph was also taken in the Colorado Springs area, okay? The next place, July 10th, they were at the Great Sand Dunes in Mosca, Colorado. Okay, so Great Sand Dunes National Park and Preserve, and this is written by Gabby. After going on our first road trip across the country in my tiny car, we felt like there was just so much we missed. Turning this Ford Transit essentially into a camper was such an adventure in itself, but I couldn't love the way it turned out more. All the places it brought us so far have been amazing. As soon as we got to the Great Sand Dunes, I didn't want to leave. There was so much to hike, but as soon as the campsites on the dunes open up for summer, they fill up instantly, along with the overnight parking permits. Luckily enough, I called at the right time when someone canceled and was able to score us a campsite for 2 nights overlooking the dunes. I'm so grateful we got such an awesome spot to spend the night and surf the dunes. And the night sky here was insane. Never seen so many stars. Hashtag van life, hashtag van life movement, and then she tags Brian at Bizarre Design. Again, July 10th at the Sand Dunes. And this is also at the Sand Dunes, July 10th. Bikini Bottom is not the only place. There's sandy cheeks. Swipe to see me fall on my butt. Hashtag van life travel. July 11th, still Great Sand Dunes National Park and Preserve. Last day in Colorado, on to Utah, van life, nomad living, travel blogger, van life movement, the right to explore. And then onward, on to the Zion National Park in Springdale, Utah. And they were there from the 16th to the 19th of July. We are Zion National Park on mountain time. The past 2 nights camping in Zion have been so cool, literally. We hiked up here in about 100 degrees, and it was so nice coming back to our campsite, watching the sky fill with dark clouds and view the lightning storm in the nice cool air of the light rain. Hashtag van life, hashtag van life camping, hashtag Zion National Park, hashtag travel. Still in Zion National Park. This is a photo of the inside of their tent. Bought a small piece of home to the canyons. Hashtag van life, hashtag expedition happiness, hashtag nomad life, hashtag van conversion, hashtag Zion, hashtag the right to explore. Here's the Narrows in Zion National Park. She just has a bunch of hashtags: van life, Zion, nomad life, expedition happiness, van life movement, van life diaries, van life explorers, USA road trip, hiking adventures, do what you love. I'm sure she was experimenting. When she went missing, she didn't have a lot of Instagram followers. She was just starting. And now, bittersweet, she has so many. So here on the 21st, okay, she is at the Bryce Canyon National Park, and that's the 21st through to the 24th is where she was here. So let's see, go here, Bryce Canyon National Park. This is July 22nd. Every night that we have camped so far, inside any national park, it's rain. Rain sounds like a negative thing when camping, but after coming back from a strenuous hike in the sun with no shade for miles, it's nice to lay listening to the cold rain, hit your tent, and fight bizarre design for the blanket. And then she's got some more hashtags here: live more with less, van life camping, national parks, adventure seeker, travel blogger, van life community, van life diaries, hiking adventures, outdoor life, travel, van life living, and van life. Next thing we're going to look at is their dirt account. Okay, that's an account they had where they posted pictures, they posted reviews, and we've looked at this in live streams, but I'm going to show it to you here. We're going to look at a review they posted. It's going to correlate with our timeline. So this is their account. Okay, there's some photos here. And okay, so this reviewed July 22nd. So beautiful here. Zion is just beautiful, yes, but the tent sites here are really nice. All a good distance from each other and a beautiful pergola for some shade. It gets very hot midday. Recommend doing some of the more strenuous hikes early AM or in the evening. Nicest spot to hang out during the hottest point of the day is at the lodge. There's a giant tree on the lawn that just creates so much shade and the grass is cool. But the campground has a beautiful view. Nice hikes from the campsite. Walk to the museum after dinner before it gets dark to refill on some cold fresh water and wait for the stars to come out. So beautiful and refreshing. Great campsite and clean bathrooms. Showers at Zion. Outfitter $4 for 5 minutes. Must take one after Narrows. Beware toxic algae. Overcrowded but still fun. So there's video here. Of the tent setup at that campground. How do you set up your tent? Keep it simple and leave no trace. Best campsite ever. And follow our van life journey, Gabby Petito and Bizarre Design on Instagram, YouTube coming soon. So then back to our timeline. There's the Mystic Hot Springs in Monroe, Utah on the 26th, July 26th. Took a very relaxing nap here. Hashtag Mystic Hot Springs, natural life, van life travels, nomad life, zen, and meditation. And that is July 26th. Now, go back. July 29th to the 31st, the Mesa Arch. Canyonlands National Park, maybe July 30th. And she says, Bizarre Design hikes barefoot everywhere we go. If it were up to him, he wouldn't own any shoes. This is why later on you're going to see I discount the TikToker that says she picked Brian up hitchhiking, because she gives a description of him in boots, long sleeves. This is stuff that he never wore. Besides that and the $200, it just raised red flags to me. Hikes barefoot everywhere we go. If it were up to him, he wouldn't own any shoes, but I just find it funny how many people comment on the fact that he is barefoot. As soon as we reached the end of this easy walk, I kicked off my Sanuk, and this woman, who seemed very concerned about me, asked me if the crust was hot. I was in such a different mindset that this question fazed me. Even if it was boiling lava, I was just so happy to be there that I didn't think about the sun. Surprisingly enough, the rocks here were cold. No, not ice cold, but cool. Magically, this sandy, smooth crust doesn't retain any heat, so not only did it feel good because it was 100%, it was 100 degrees with no shade, but it was tranquil. We always love surpassing people on our hikes, hearing them say things like, "Whoa, look, he's barefoot." Bizarre Design inspires me every day on living a more natural lifestyle, building my feet up so I don't have to bring my shoes in case. Hashtag walk barefoot. And this is July 31st as well. This is the Mesa Arch, Canyonlands. live more with less, hashtag. Then we jump to August 12th at Arches National Park. August 12th. On a calm Monday morning, Bizarre Design and I decided to take the highly trafficked hike to Delicate Arch. Not sure if it's because it was 7 a.m. on a Monday, but there actually were not as many people on the trail as I expected. After waiting on a short line for someone to generously take our photo, Bizarre Design and I made our way to the other side of the arch. We also camped for one night in Devil's Garden with the cover off of our tent to fall asleep watching the stars, trying to catch a glimpse of the Perseid meteor shower. Fun fact, I did not edit any of these photos except to brighten the exposure slightly, but only one person in the background on the last slide. Also during our hike, I stepped off the trail up onto bare rock just to take a photo of the view out of everyone's way of the path, and a very nice man who I believe worked for REI stopped everyone in their tracks and commented about my shoes, asking me how I liked them. I felt like I was giving a small presentation to everyone crowding and waiting to continue on the path, all looking at me while I'm standing on this rock describing how awesome these shoes have been, especially hiking with them on the Appalachian Trail while Bizarre Design hikes barefoot. Side note, this is not sponsored or an ad, although I wish it were, REI. But basically, all of our hiking and camping gear and also our van life essentials are all from REI, REI Co-op, Arches National Park, NPS. Okay, so REI did respond to her and said looking like a great hike. Okay. This was a long time between her posts, and we also know what happened on August 12th was the same day that they were at the Moonflower Cooperative, right, in Moab, Utah, and they had stayed there from around 9 in the morning to like 4:30. They had that police stop. They had that 911 call come in at 5:30 about what happened there, and we're going to play that. And then they had that police stop and that body cam footage. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play that 911 call. I came in on the 12th. We're going to show the moonflower. Okay, here's the moonflower.
Hi, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hi, I'm calling. I'm right on the corner of Main Street by Moonflower, and we're driving by, and I'd like to report a domestic dispute. Florida with a white van, Florida license plate, white land, gentleman,
Where's
about
it at?
5'6", beard. They just drove off. They're going down Main Street. They made a right onto Main Street from Moonflower.
Or what were they doing?
Cooperative, but what do you say?
What were they doing?
We drove by, and the gentleman was slapping the girl.
He was slapping her?
Yes, and then we stopped. They ran up and down the sidewalk. He proceeded to hit her, hopped in the car, and they drove off.
Okay, you said it's a white van?
White van. I can give you the license plate if you give me 1 sec. I took a picture of it.
What kind of white van? Like a big one?
It was a smaller van with the license plate of, it was white, Florida license plate. It was, the make was a Ford, model was Transit, black ladder on the passenger side.
Black ladder, passenger side.
White Ford Transit.
White Ford Transit. Okay, what's your name? And where did they, so they headed south on Main Street from Moonflower Market?
Correct, they made the right turn.
Oh, so they went north.
North, yeah, sorry, I'm not from around here.
Okay, you're right there by the post office?
Right across the street, yep.
Okay, and when they turned onto Main Street, they went right or left?
Right.
Right, so they went north. North on Main. All right, I will let somebody know. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Bye.
Thanks.
Okay, so that was the 911 call, and then that was around 4:30, and around 4:40 was the police stop. Okay, and okay, so I am going to insert the Moab incident, the police incident that happened. It's going to be in its entirety, and if you've already seen it or you don't want to see it, if you're watching this on a premiere, I know you can't skip ahead, but if you're watching this on a replay, you can go ahead and skip ahead if you don't want to watch the whole thing. But I am going to put it in here so that it's in this timeline the way it should be, because that was the next point in our timeline, is that domestic incident. And after that, Brian was taken to the Bowen Motel in Moab. So he was taken to the Bowen Motel, and that's where you see at the end of the police footage that he is dropped off at that Bowen Motel in Moab, where he was mistakenly thought to be the victim in this. So he was brought to this motel, the Bowen Motel, while Gabby was sent away with the van. The police officers never apparently knowing what was fully on that 911 call. And there was also a report that came in along with that call. So we're going to look at that first, and then, like I said, I will put the police cam footage in its entirety. Now, in case you couldn't hear that 911 call, I'm just going to go ahead and give you the transcript. The dispatcher says, Grand County Sheriff's Office. The caller says, hi, can you hear me, sir? The dispatcher says, yeah, I can hear you. Caller says, hi, I'm calling. I'm right on the corner of Main Street by Moonflower, and we're driving by, and I'd like to report a domestic dispute to Florida with a white van with Florida license plates. Gentleman, about 5'6". Dispatcher says, where is it at? Caller says they just drove off. They're going down Main Street. They made a right onto Main Street from Moonflower. The dispatcher says, and what were they doing? The caller says, what did you say? The dispatcher says, what were they doing? Caller says, we drove by and the gentleman was slapping the girl. Dispatcher says he was slapping her. Caller says, yes, and then we stopped. They ran up and down the sidewalk. He proceeded to hit her. They hopped in the car and they drove off. Dispatcher says, okay, and you said it's a white van? And he says, yes. The caller says, white van. I'll give you the license plate if you give me 1 second. I took a picture of it. Dispatcher says, what kind of white van? Like a big one? The caller says, it was a smaller van with the license plate of, it was white Florida license plate. And he gives the license plate and he says it was, the make was a Ford model, was a Transit, black ladder on the passenger side, black ladder passenger side. The dispatcher repeats. Caller says, white Ford Transit. Dispatcher says, white Ford Transit. Okay, what's your name? The caller gives the name. Dispatcher says, and where did they? So they turned, they headed south on Main Street from Moonflower Market. Caller says, correct. They made a right turn. Dispatcher says, okay, so they went north. Caller says, north. Sorry, I'm not from around here. Dispatcher says, okay, are you, so you're right there by the post office? He said, yes, right across the street, the caller said. Dispatcher said, okay, and when they turned onto Main Street, they went right or left? Caller says, right. Dispatcher says, right, so they went north on Main Street. All right, I will let someone know, thank you. Caller says, yeah, no worries, bye. Okay. Then the police stop, which you're going to see now.
Driver is showing some obscure driving, possibly intoxicated. Currently doing 45 miles an hour. Zone through here is 25. Oh! Subject just hit the curb. Correction, speed limit is 15. I'm about 3/4 of a mile into the arches, just before the gate. You want to place your vehicle into park and go ahead and turn it off for me?
Yeah, sure.
No, park?
Oh, it is in park, yeah.
Okay, turn off your engine. Go ahead and set your keys on the dash for me, alright? What's your guys' names?
Gabby.
I'm Brian.
Gabby, Brian? Okay. What's going on? How come you're crying?
I'm sorry, we've just been fighting this morning. Some personal issues.
It was a long day. We were camping yesterday, and camping got the stuff, flies and stuff. I'm sorry I hit the bump there.
I was distracting him from driving, I'm sorry.
Can I get you to step out of the vehicle for me, man?
Yeah.
Just hang tight right there. Do you mind if I take your keys and just put them on your hood?
You got it, buddy. I'm so
Thank
sorry.
you. Oh, no, you're fine. I'm going to go ahead and close your door, okay? Why don't you come over here? SO229, I have the female that was on the passenger seat separated from the male. Keys are on the hood. You want to tell me what's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, some days I have really bad OCD, and
Okay.
I was just cleaning and straightening up the back of the van before, and I was apologizing to him and saying, I'm sorry that I'm so mean, because sometimes I have OCD, and sometimes I just get really frustrated. Not like mean towards him, I just like, I guess my vibe is like, I hear him be like in a bad mood. And I was just saying, I'm sorry if I'm in a bad mood. I've just been really stressed. I had so much work I was doing on my computer this morning.
What do you do for a living?
Well, I used to work at an all-organic juice bar, but I just quit my job.
Okay.
I was a nutritionist. That's
Oh,
what
okay.
that was my
That's
job.
cool.
And I just quit my job to travel across the country. And I'm trying to start a blog. I just
Okay.
have a blog and stuff. So I've been building my website. So I've just been really stressed. And he doesn't really believe that I could do any of it. So that's kind of been like a, I don't know, he's like down there. I don't know. We've just been fighting all morning. And he wouldn't let me in the car before. And then
Why wouldn't he let you in the car? Because
He told
of
me
your
I-
OCD?
He told me I needed to calm down. Yeah. But I'm perfectly calm. I'm calm all the time. And he really stresses me out. And this is a rough morning.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't I sit you down in the back seat of my car? You're not in any trouble, okay? I'm not going to be putting handcuffs on you. You obviously don't have any weapons. I'm going to get you into the air conditioning, let you take a breath, relax a little bit, and then I'll come back and talk to you in a few minutes, okay?
Okay.
Alrighty. Like I said, you're not in any trouble. So just go ahead and take a seat. Watch your feet.
Gabrielle, you talked to my fiance, right?
What's that?
You talked to Gabrielle, right?
Yeah, I just spoke to her.
Yeah.
So, you want to do me a favor? Let's go ahead and get you to step out of the vehicle, alrighty? Come on over here. You're not in any trouble right now. So, tell me what's going on.
She just gets worked up sometimes, and I try and really distance myself from her, so like I lock the car and I walk away from her. What happened this morning is that she's trying to start up like her own little website blog and everything, so I give her time, and we really had a nice morning if anything, but she just got worked up because we were trying to get going and get our day going because we want to go like arches before they step every time.
Okay. You want to tell me about those scratches on your face?
She had a cell phone in her hand. That's why I was pushing her away, because she wanted. I locked the keys so I could walk away. I said, let's just take a breather and let's not, go anywhere. Let's just calm down for a minute, because she was getting a little worked up. And then she had her phone and was trying to get the keys from me, so I got away. I was just trying to. I know I shouldn't push her, but I was just trying to push her away to go. Let's just take a minute, step back, and breathe. And she got me with her phone.
Can I see your hand? Oh, you got a mark right here.
Oh, that's from a wire.
That's from a wire?
Yeah.
You want to tell me about hitting that curb?
Hitting the curb was her grabbing the wheel.
She grabbed the wheel?
Yeah. She said, I can't believe we're getting pulled over, and then she grabbed the wheel.
What about the speed? Did she take over the...
No, I
take over the pedal on you?
If I was going fast, I'm sorry. No, it's probably just the moment of, I'm still shaking now. The adrenaline, seeing the lights flashing up, and then her grabbing the wheel. So if I sped up, I'm sorry about that. Or if I was speeding beforehand, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, it took quite a bit to catch up to you. So,
yeah. I'm sorry about that. We're just going into the park again to get water, because we have a 6-gallon water container to fill up. So we're just grabbing water for the hike. Okay. And I was trying to keep everything calm and quiet, because there's plans still to go for a hike, but then she grabbed me. I'm really sorry about that.
Of course. Do me a favor. You want to go ahead and just take a seat right over here on the curb for me?
And if I was speeding, I'm sorry. I want to apologize.
You don't have anything in that pocket or anything like that, do you?
Nope.
Just the wallet? All right. And then, do you mind lifting your shirt so I can check your waistband?
I got.
Turn around for me real quick. Perfect.
Nothing.
I just want to make sure. That's all, man. Go ahead, do me a favor, take a seat. All right. Oh, do you have your ID on you?
In the car. If you want to come with me,
No, we'll just do this. Just go ahead and take a seat.
You come with me, I'll give it to you.
No, you're fine. What's your first name?
Brian.
Brian? Is that layman spelling?
B-R-I-N, yeah, and L-A-U-N.
And then your last name?
L-A-U-N.
L-A-U-N.
D-R-I-E.
D-R-I-E?
Yep.
Laundrie? Mm-hmm. Okay. What's your date of birth, Brian?
I'll say crisscross applesauce, but can I just sit in the shade because I'm bald? No, it's okay. I'll give you some shade. Sound good?
Alrighty, just hang tight for me. SO229. I need a 29 name and date of birth. First name Brian, layman spellings, last name Laundrie. Lima Alpha Uniform, November, Delta, Romeo, India.
Where'd you hit him? You slapped him first? It's on his face? How many times did you slap?
Bravo, Romeo, India, Alpha, November.
And then what? And his reaction was to do what?
It's going to be out of Florida.
He just grabbed you? Did he hit you though? I mean, it's okay if you're saying you hit him, but then I understand if he hit you, but we want to know the truth if he actually hit you. Because, where did he hit you? Don't worry, just be honest. Did he slap your face or what? Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. So has he been drinking?
No, we don't.
Okay. What was up with his driving? This officer said he hit a curb. While you're driving? While he was driving, you were hitting him? Did you already tell him all this?
I didn't get that far into
Okay,
it. She
so
was hyperventilating
she's
a little
saying
bit.
that they don't drink, but at the point when you lit them up,
You don't drink or anything.
She started hitting him.
Yeah, I was yelling at him, and then when you turned your lights on, I kind of punched his arm like there's no just an
that
idiot.
she's saying was why he hit the curb. You said it was Gabby?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I remember that name. It was Gabby?
Yeah.
Try to meditate and stuff, but you tend to have a lot of anxiety and stress.
I have a lot of anxiety.
And what's his
OCD.
name? Is it Brian? Is he usually pretty patient with you?
Yeah, but it just makes me upset. I know that he definitely gets frustrated with me a lot.
Way of taking my anxiety and bringing it down, but my ex-wife, that's why she's my ex-wife, I'm just sharing, I know it's a little personal, but to help you understand, we would feed off each other's anxiety and spiral, you know what I mean? And it doesn't matter how much I loved her. It may be bad for your soul, just saying. I'm not telling you what to do with your life, but if you know you have anxiety, look at the situations you can get in, you know what I mean? And we're not here to be mean to you or anything. Well, you know, there's a first time and then it usually... We'll go see what Brian's saying, but I think you've heard everything now from...
Quick question, you said you were hitting him in the arm. Did you grab the steering wheel?
No, I didn't.
You did not touch the steering wheel?
I didn't touch the steering wheel, but only for like a second, because I just saw the lights come on, and it was more just like, you're an idiot. Like, you know...
But did you grab the steering wheel and like swerve or anything like that?
No. I didn't touch the steering wheel at all.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and close this door again. Do you have enough air back here, or do you want me to kick it up some more?
Do you have any water?
I will see if I can find some.
Okay, no worries. Thank you.
No problem. You wouldn't happen to have any water, would you? Oh, yeah. Can I get a bottle?
Did you already give a statement to this officer?
I've got this gentleman here.
Yeah. This gentleman noticed that you had some marks on your neck. Yeah. And she's got some marks on her too. We're just trying to figure out what all happened, and I know you probably already told your story. This officer is probably going to be the one handling the whole case. Do you want to listen to what he has to say, and then you tell him what happened. So if you don't mind.
Start at the beginning for me.
Start at the beginning. Well, I don't want to go too far back, but we've been in Beyond Land for the past like week or so, traveling around, and the flies here are like pretty intense. So the flies have definitely been getting to her, and then my feet are dirty and everything. So I think that our little squabble started because we were hanging out at the coffee shop, and when we got back to the van, there was some dirt and stuff in the van, and I moved our food around, so it was a little disorganized, so she gets a little...
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Do you need any water?
It's okay.
It's hot out here.
We were going to get water because we ran out, but it's okay. No, it's alright. I don't like plastic bottles. It's okay. Thank you, though. But we just had a little disagreement there. And the disagreement was just that she was getting a little worked up, and I was saying, no, it's okay. Thank you so much.
As long as it's cold, that's good.
So it was just more of a disagreement, and I just wanted to say...
What was the disagreement about?
It was, I wouldn't even call it disagreement. It was just that I'm dirty and I can't change being dirty. Like I got dirty feet, I got sand on my flip-flops and stuff like that. It was that we were at the coffee shop for so long because we were there from 9 to 3. So yeah, there's a few little things, little relationships. I don't know if you're in a relationship, but I'm sure you
I've been married for over 5 years now. So.
There's a lot of little things.
Yeah, I can go.
And
I get it.
We really... We weren't physical before the point where I said, all right, let's just take a breather and like walk away for a minute. I'll lock the van up and I'll go for a walk this way, and you can go walk that way on the block. You know, there's that what is it called, Moonflower?
Right.
Yeah. You know, nice areas. You can go either way. It's all shaded. So let's go for a little walk and breathe and come back. Cause we're happy with it. I'm not upset with her. She got worked up and she had a phone in her hand and her keys and everything. And she wanted. Not her keys, her rings, her phone, and I was holding on to the keys because I didn't want to go anywhere. And my big fear is, I don't have my phone. I don't have a phone, so she goes off without me with a car. I'm on my own. So I was saying, let's just go for a walk, and she was trying to get the keys for me. So I was just going, just wait, back up, and that's when she hit me. And I didn't get. I don't want to push you, but I didn't get overtly physical. I was just trying to keep her away and not get hit, and then I got really loud, and like that's probably everyone's attention where I was going, back up, get away, just give me a...
Okay, so you said you pushed her to create some distance, obviously, right? What happened after that? What got the scratches on your eye?
The phone.
The phone? So you pushed her and she hit you?
It wasn't like a push and she jumped on me, she was already, I don't want to, she was already swinging, and I was supposed to... lot of angles, a lot of nails, a lot of rings.
Yeah, you got 3 scratches in your neck. You got 1 on your left side of your nose. You got 1 in your face here, and you got 4 bleeding over it. So it looks like 2 hands coming in. Do you mind lifting up your right sleeve for me? I'm curious about something.
It's a little bit of nails. I suppose fingernails, but I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining about
Is
fingernails.
it bruised or tender or anything like
No.
that?
Okay. I'm fine, and I love Gabby. I hope she doesn't have too many complaints about me. I'm just, I feel bad I had to get so public. I was just trying to be loud. So this is, try to make her calm down and be like, look, everyone's watching. And like, stop this.
Just hang tight for me. I got a quick question for you, Ryan. Sure. Do you take any medications or anything like that? You don't take any medications or anything like that? Okay. Are you normally this kind of like hyper?
Do I see my heart rate up? Whenever the lights flash on, it gets your heart rate up. If I see my...
Trust me, it does me too, and I'm the one that it gets me going a little bit.
You probably
too,
can say, hey buddy, whenever somebody walks up.
So, okay. Yeah, do you know if she takes any?
She's crazy. No, I don't think so. No, none that I know of.
Alright. Real fast, can I get your first name?
Gabrielle.
Gabrielle, how do you spell that?
G-A-B-R-I-E-L-L.
And your last name?
Petito.
B-E-T?
P as in Peter.
Oh, P.
And E-T-I-T.
I-C-O. You guys both live in Florida, right? Or that's where you guys come from?
My license is Florida right now, but I'm from Florida.
But that's where you have it out of currently. That's a 29. I need a 29 by name and date of birth. First name Gabrielle, Golf, Alpha, Bravo, Romeo, India, Echo, Lima, Echo. Last name Petito, Papa, Echo, Tango, India, Charlie, Oscar. It's gonna be Florida. We're just kind of hanging tight for a minute. All right.
Where does you live? Georgia? Florida. Florida, yeah, was our last address. Still get down there.
How long you been on this trip?
4 to 5 months out. You're up to 5.
What was the determinants? What was the ending of the trip? Moving to a new place?
We're going to Portland. Her grandmother's best friend lives in Portland. We stayed there. 2 years ago, we did a blood cross-country trip, which we loved. We did in Nissan Sentra, like a tiny little car. So I was like, let's do it better. And it's got a big van. Not a big, it's a tiny van compared to all the things. But I said, let's try and do it a little better. And it's been great so far, for sure. But yeah, we're going over to Portland, and I don't know if you're probably more familiar with it, but woofing, have you ever heard of that? W-W-O-O-F-I-N-G.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it.
I'm from California originally.
Oh, yeah?
So, and part of my job, I dealt with employees that were from all across the United States, and Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, everything you can think of on your level western. I know most of them.
It's worldwide opportunities on organic farms, so it's like a volunteer work-away type of situation where you can work on organic farms. So that's our goal once we get over to Washington. do that from Washington, then down to Oregon, down to California. What part of California is that?
I'm from a town just outside Sequoia National Park.
It must have been a good town.
You're going to be going through there?
We're good in the way of outdoors.
Good. But no, it wasn't too bad at all.
I just got a phone with one of the two witnesses, and I reported it. You want me to tell you what he said?
Yeah, real quick.
Do you mind hanging with him for a minute? So, get away from both of them. So, he said that he never saw the male strike the female. He saw the male trying to lock her out of the vehicle. She even told us that he was trying to lock her out, told her to go take a walk. So that she was trying to get in. She eventually couldn't get in and actually clawed her way in through the driver's door. He says, I don't understand why she's doing that. Well, I think it's because it was the only door that wasn't locked that she could get through. So she's trying to get in over him. He's trying to disengage from her. I guess he hung her backpack on the back probably so she'd have her shit so that he didn't have to engage with her. Everything she's saying is the same thing. I haven't heard what he said, but if that's what he said, it's also what the witness is saying. The witness says, I never saw him hit her. I saw him shove her, but I couldn't tell if it was an aggression against her or a defense against her as far as her, being the aggressor. So at this point, unless the guy's screaming that he needs to go to jail and did something to this girl, it sounds to me like she is the primary aggressor.
Yeah.
Now, the problem with her being the primary aggressor is in incidents of domestic assault, be it a male or be it a female, we shall arrest. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they have to go to jail. We can do a citation if it meets one of three criterion, which one of them is that we can ensure that they're not going to further risk each other's safety. But the problem with that is they live in the same vehicle.
That's what I was going to say. The other part of it is
there was actually an injury too to the victim, which is him.
Right, and I'm getting conflicting stories about why they hit the curb up here.
What did he say why he hit the curb?
Well, I've watched, this is what I saw first. Saw him cross the double yellow. I was doing 42 miles an hour. I was, probably 2 car lengths behind him, tapping my whales at him, trying to get his attention. They knew I was behind him. And then after he crossed the double yellow, he merged over into the right lane, and then out of nowhere, just boom, hit the curb.
So did he tell you why?
He said that she grabbed the wheel and turned it real hard. She said that she was hitting him in the arm. So
sounds legit. I mean, I'm sure if I'm driving and my arm's on the wheel and I'm getting hit in the arm, I'm probably pulling out the wheel.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was a little of both. I mean, usually the truth is somewhere between. He's probably trying not to say that he hit her because he probably doesn't want her charged with assault, domestic assault. He probably would rather say she pulled the wheel than hit him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, unfortunately for her, we cannot treat, just because he's bigger and stronger, and even if he's not willing to press charges, we can't treat this differently than if it was a male on female violence.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to charge her. And we can do a citation if there's some arrangement that can be made to separate them. And then we have to let them know that there's no contact order in effect.
Yeah.
And we have to let him know the only way to drop it is to go into the police department during business hours and fill out a waiver, which, by the way, what's today? Thursday? So it won't be till tomorrow. I know they're till noon, I think.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure he's going to want to drop it.
Well, the other part of it is they said that they've been on 4 or 5 months that they've been living out of this van together.
Well, this is really bad news, so let's talk to him first. Here's Brian.
Yeah.
Did you ask me to take pictures of him? Yeah?
No, I haven't done any of that yet.
Brian, unfortunately in the state of Utah, we don't have discretion on some things. Like, for example, if I pull you over for speeding and I want to give you a warning, I can do that because it's under Class A, it's a Class B or under. If I want to give you warnings for all kinds of stuff, I can, but there's a few things I can't. When I say I, the police, I'm not in charge of everything. One of the things that the state legislature doesn't give us discretion on is charges when it comes to a domestic assault. And it sounds like you guys are living together, so you meet the statute for domestic partners. And you do have injury, and both an independent witness, probably the next one we're going to talk to as well, which we haven't talked to yet, but the one we did talk to, and your own companion have made it clear that she was the primary aggressor and that she was striking you and you received injuries. You haven't admitted to striking her, she has not admitted to striking her, the witness did not see you strike her. So at this point, you're the victim of a domestic assault that even if you didn't want to pursue this we don't have a choice. The best thing we can do to not, the law says we have to charge her, it doesn't say we have to put her in jail. Okay, but it also says we have to separate through a no contact order, and we have to put her in jail if we cannot separate. And the little problem here is you guys out of Florida living in the van together. How are we supposed to separate her guys? Now I don't want to take this small 20, what is she?
A 22-year-old
blonde
hair, blue-eyed jail.
That you could definitely defend yourself against, but at the same time, we can't say because you're a male and she's a female, we can't treat this different than if you were the male hitting her. We got to treat it the same.
Yeah, no.
So she's kind of in a tough spot. So unless you have an idea about how she could not go to jail and be separated, you have friends in town, somewhere she could stay. Tomorrow, if you want to, it's up to you. You can
go to jail?
You can't because we don't have a charge for you. Now tomorrow, if you wanted to get with her again tomorrow,
I'm gonna take your break in.
if you wanted to be with her again tomorrow, because it's after 5, so office is closed, so you can go to the police department, fill out a waiver to drop the no contact order, so you guys can still be together. But she's gonna have a court date online in a week or two. She's gonna have to show up for a court date online and answer. The prosecutor might drop it. They might say, for example, if you're not willing to pursue it, that's your decision.
I was going to say, it definitely is. I'm not going to pursue anything. It's my fiance, I love her. It's a problem. I'm sorry that I had to get so public. So I just want to get like the checklist of things I got to do to get rid of it. So there's an online court date.
Well, she'll get a paper with a court date.
How do I get rid of it?
Well, the court date has to be attended in order for them to decide whether they need to continue or drop it. First, it's just an initial appearance to say, are you who we think you are? Yes. Do you understand the charges been brought against you? Yes or no? Yes or no, the answer. Do you have an attorney? Yes or no? Do you need one? And then from there, she can ask to speak with the prosecutor. The prosecutor might be contacting you and say, hey man, I don't see 110 pounds soaking wet and you're a big strong guy and we understand you're not even wanting to pursue this, but the cops have to follow the statute. How we're in the interest of you and justice for you as a victim, what do you think? And they can decide to still prosecute her. Or they can decide to drop it, or they can decide to give her a plea and make it kind of go away so she hurt somehow. But that still does not eliminate the first court appearance that she has to attend, which thankfully for you guys is going to be online. So you don't have to. So if you're out of town, here's the thing: if you're out of town and she doesn't come into her court appearance online, they can suspend her driver's license, they can issue a warrant for her. So she needs to play ball.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And remember her team. Me and her team. I'm sorry about all this. I apologize again. But so she's got her online court date. Just acknowledge that she's hurt, and then she's got one for the...
Well, there's automatically right now, there's something called a no contact order in place.
Yeah,
from this point forward until tomorrow, if you wish to drop it, you have to go to the 217 East Center Street, Moab City Police Department.
I got all the paperwork.
And you have to ask them to give it to you. You want to fill out a waiver that you're requesting a waiving of the contact order, no contact order. No contact order means she cannot come into contact with you, she cannot talk to you, she cannot text you, she cannot go onto any premises you're occupying, she cannot go to your vehicle. And until you drop that, or until a court date, if you don't drop it, it'll stay in effect until midnight on the day of court. And then that gives you time to get a protective order, a long-term one, if you feel like you need one. It sounds like you don't even want this one. So tomorrow, they open at 8, you can go into the police department, you can file the waiver, they can remove it, then you can say, hey babe, where you at? Let me pick you up. Up. Now, we're hoping not to put her in jail, but if she doesn't have somewhere to go tonight, to be separate from you, then where are we supposed to...
I can't talk to her now because it's separation, right?
Yeah.
So, tell me this. Do you guys have enough money for like a hotel room or anything like that? Because what we could do is we'd cite her for this, and then I'd give her a ride over to whatever hotel you guys is choosing.
Pick her up there tomorrow if you want to know what they open.
On your way to go pick her up, you stop over there at the PD, sign the paperwork that they're requesting, and then go pick her up quite literally within minutes.
Unless you know someone else in town that's a friend that you can stay with.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately not. I don't, and I guess that...
Man, I sure hate to... I don't want her to go to jail.
Will it be... If she goes to jail, it's like, that goes down somewhere instead of her going to the hotel, right? If you did a citation, it would be...
It kind of depends. So if she goes to jail, they're going to book her, and they'll take her fingerprints, and they'll go on her criminal history. And then if they don't convict her, then it will just show that it was dismissed. It'll show up in her criminal history, but the charge was dismissed. But if she was found guilty, it'll show up that she was guilty of domestic assault. But the charge itself will show up on her criminal history until she gets the expunged. Now, even if we give her a ticket, we're still going to take a fingerprint, and it's still still going to show up. Either way, it's still going to show up. There's no way around a Class A. Or is this Class B?
This is Class B.
But they do require fingerprint on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
the other part is if you contact her or she contacts you, she could be charged with a Class A.
Well,
which is a little bit different, but it doesn't help us.
If you were to contact her and she responds to you, then she could get a new charge for violating the contact order. No contact order doesn't restrict you, it restricts her. So if you go talk to her and we find out and you're not in trouble, she'll be in trouble. So you're interested. Does that all make sense?
No, I'm getting it all.
It's a lot, really quickly.
No,
I
again, I'm
understand.
getting it all. I'm just trying to figure out a way.
You don't know anyone in town? You guys been around long?
No, I don't know anyone in town. If she went...
I don't think CK will take her if she's the aggressor.
No.
There's a women's shelter.
I'm curious.
You can find out. Say, hey, she doesn't have where to go.
If you did the citation, she, like, say she drove off in she could drive off in this car.
We could give you a ride somewhere.
I got my backpack.
Sucks for you.
I got my backpack. You can spend the night. You want to drive me to Delicate Art?
Does she have a good driver's license?
She does driver's license, yeah.
Yeah. With your vehicle?
Yeah, she can.
Well, then you'd kind of be homeless for the night.
And man, I can't talk to her at all. Well, and I've got to do the thing, so I can't go camping.
We can tell her what it is that she needs to do to get through all this, and then let her know what the plan is.
Here's the problem, though. If we take you up to Delicate Arch, you're going to be hoofing it from Delicate Arch all the way down to Moab Center Street, so that you can fill out that paperwork. Because if you're not there by noon tomorrow, you're going to be looking at Monday morning.
It's early on Friday.
Yeah. You'd be looking at Monday morning before you could actually see her again.
Again, we're not trying to make your life hard, but this is written in statute. There's nothing
a lot of
about it. It's designed to protect victims of domestic assault. Not everybody's the same. This is different than normal, but we have to treat everything the same. That's how it is.
You can't afford a hotel?
No. Very little money we have, for sure.
You want me to? I'll call Sea Cave in.
See if Sea Cave will take you for the night.
I'll see if they'll take either one of them, because then we can figure it out.
This is
from
the
there.
way they take me. Oh. Actually, CK will take him as a victim of domestic assault. CK will take him, and they will help you tomorrow.
And you're like a block and a half away from the beekeeper.
Let's see if CK will take him, because they actually they didn't take a guy, but they got a hotel for a guy last time.
Yeah, I'll do that.
CK might get you a hotel. Now, what she does...
I'm happy sleeping outside in a sleeping bag.
No,
we don't want that.
I'm just saying, I think CK will get you a hotel. If you want her to have the van, we don't care. It's up to you. But it doesn't look good.
Yes, this is Officer Robbins with Moab City Police Department. How you doing this afternoon? Oh, not too bad, not too bad. So I just did a domestic, and the male is going to be our victim. Is there any way that you can help us set him up with a place to stay tonight? Okay. $10.99. Yeah. Yes, please. Thank you. Well. All right. So the after hours guy isn't there at their office right now. He's gonna run from his house over there, and we're gonna get you all lined up. Don't worry about it. This is the phone call that they wait on. So don't feel like you are making anybody do anything extra on your behalf. So we're trying to make this as easy as possible. We're not wanting to take her and book her or anything like that.
No, I really appreciate it.
And I know how rough this stuff can be. Like I said, I've been married for 5.5 years. You know, believe me, if I were to say that me and my wife haven't had our share of spouts, I'd be lying to you. She lives with anxiety. I live with a woman who
both of
has
us
anxiety.
really.
I know. Her anxiety elevates my anxiety. And sometimes it
that's why I'm like, I gotta walk away, I gotta breathe, I'm looking to backfire even then. You know. But
I'm not gonna try to sit here and give you life advice. You've been on this road for almost as long as what I have. There's nothing I can tell you that's gonna really make a difference, but at the end of the day, I'm sorry that this has happened. I'm sorry that it went to this extent.
No. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Could I get my key and make like a little bag? If you can drive me somewhere?
Yeah.
Is that alright?
Would you mind watching for me?
Yeah.
Yeah, just if you don't mind doing it from over here, we don't want you to get hit in the road.
Okay.
So.
don't have anyone saying he actually punched you aggressively. It sounds like he was shoving in a manner that was probably more consistent with trying to prevent you from moving the van or to get space from you, not to assail you. Does that make sense? So, if the tables were turned and he was beating on you and you were shoving him, of course we're going to look at it like, oh, of course she's defending herself to get away from this guy. But we're kind of looking at it the same way with him. We have to take both very, even if he's a bigger male and you're a small female. The law doesn't say, hey, Officer Crown, Officer Robbins, you can treat people different based on gender under the section you can. Even if it makes no sense. We probably could not physically destroy this man with a heart to you.
This is Officer Robbins. Hey, how's it going? That's fine. I'm still going to be here for a few minutes dealing with this, so we have almost as much time as you need. So, his name's going to be Brian, B-R-I-A-N. Last name Laundrie is L-A-U-N-D-R-I-E. In Laundrie? Yeah, well, it's not Y, it's I-E at the end. Yes. So they were at Moonflower, the organic grocery store down the street from you guys, and they got into a heated argument. Both of them were saying it was over petty stuff. He told her to take a walk so that she could cool off. She refused, broke into the car after he locked her out of it. She started trying to slap and scratch him. He pushed her away. They both got in the vehicle, took off, and I found them out here next to the porches. No. Well, we are charging her with domestic assault. So there's going to be a protection order set in place between the two of them until he's able to get over to the PD tomorrow, because he doesn't want to pursue it, but I don't have a choice in this, as I'm sure you are well aware. So he's going to be wanting to go over to the PD first thing tomorrow morning as they open up to get the protective order removed. But that doesn't fix tonight. Sorry about that, go ahead. Yes, they both have Florida licenses. Of course. Right. Well, the other part of it is we don't think it's very likely, but with her as the suspect in this, would you be able to put her up for the night? I figured I had to make sure I at least asked. It's better safe than sorry. So I didn't know if that would make your life any easier or any tougher on it. So. Awesome. And And if it's easier for you to just send me a text with a location, that works just as fine too. Alrighty, sounds like a plan. Thank you. What did you say your name was again? Pete or Philip? Phil. Okay. Alrighty, Phil. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Hey Brian, can I take 2 minutes of your time real quick back here? So, because there was an assault that took place and you were obviously showing signs of the strikes, do you mind if I take pictures of the injuries that you sustained? I know it's not super severe. I mean, you want me to call, I can call the EMS if you want me to. You don't seem like you want to go that far.
If you want to take a photo, you can take a photo.
Yeah, I need to take pictures for my evidence because otherwise it's going to be your say, her say, my say, and the court's going, so I have to do this part of it, alrighty? So it's just going to be a couple of pictures.
Is it okay?
Yes. If you like your phone, do not ask me where it is without going for it. Where is it?
Just hang it.
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, go ahead and tell me if you don't mind me grabbing it.
I can grab it because it's in a spot.
Why don't I go with you? Where are we going in the car?
Right face, neck. One of his ring fingers, I think, has got a scratch on it. And you saw her later.
Yeah, I saw the rings. Well, I was trying to build some consistency between the stories. And then let me see your hand. Is that? Let me get your hand. That one. That right there. That works.
Could have been a pat. Or could have been a.
I know you said this is from a wire, but I'm going to take a picture of it just in case, and I'll document that you're saying that's from a wire, not from her. It's just I want to document everything. You know. And then your right arm. Do you have anything on the other arm, on your back, chest, anything like that? Let me get your neck real quick as well. You want to kind of tilt your head off to the right and look up?
This way?
And then look up.
There you go. I don't know.
And then, this is just for precautions. You mind lifting your shirt for me? We can go back here if you want some privacy. I want to, like I said, I want to do a very thorough job. I want to make sure that you don't have any additional injuries you don't need to know about.
I don't know how hot. I'm good.
You mind here, put your collar down for me a little bit? On the other side? That works. So, I talked to my contact over there at ZKB. People that can help with hotel rooms and stuff like that are out of the office. I'm just playing phone tag with a couple people trying to get well lined up because certain people have access to the corporate card, he doesn't. So we're trying to get everything lined up. This is going to take us a few minutes to get that lined up, get her cited and stuff like that. Like I said, we're going to be handing her a piece of paper that has some of its dates, stuff like that, and she'll be able to give you all that information once you drop that. Okay? So, you want to hang tight? Well, yeah. You want to go ahead and finish getting your stuff with this fine gentleman here?
She's got her cell phone. She's calling her parents just to feel better. She doesn't want to not be with them tonight.
There's no choice in the matter.
Yeah.
So
Brett's the response supervisor, at least that's what he said.
Right. Right. She went to smack him. Well, he's got a swollen right eye, scratches, so we gotta go find a tip. Was it intent and attempt, or intent or attempt?
My attempt to get basketball.
Alright.
You go ask her what her intention is. Slap her. She says, is that what you were attempting to do? No, it says right here, an attempt.
Right.
You attempting to cause her pain or attempting. Whatever she answers to that question, the only way you know what she was attempting to do is by asking her.
Right.
Set it up right. Set it up that way. Gabby, this is a very, very important question. How you answer this question is going to determine what happens next. But the only person who can answer this question is you. Think very hard before you answer the question. Do not quickly answer it. Think very hard. When you slapped him those times, were you attempting to cause him physical pain or physical impairment? Was that what you were attempting to do to him?
No.
What were you attempting to do? What was the reason behind the slapping and stuff? What was it you were attempting to accomplish by slapping?
I was trying to get him to stop telling me to calm down.
Well, it doesn't sound to me like she attempted to injure him. It's your call. This is 100% your call. I support you either way.
I'll let you get back to your parents, okay?
Okay.
Say that I entirely funny. She openly admitted to me earlier that she was striking him in the arm. Or he said that she was striking him in the arm. He said she was, and that's what caused him to hit the curb. She said that she got hurt. My head is too mixed up, probably.
No, she said that too, that she started distracting him by hitting him, and then he probably looked at her, and that's why the mark on the window side. And she said it was her fault because she was distracting him by hitting him. But she said she didn't try to hurt him, it wasn't malicious, she thought that he wasn't listening to her.
So assault is an attempt with unlawful force or violence to do bodily injury to another. The code for bodily injury, the definition says, bodily injury is
infliction of pain or physical impairment or illness. So you can go. Now I'm recording, and society and the judges and everyone can judge me for this. I am looking at a 110-pound female and her fiance who have no means to be separated. He doesn't want to pursue it. She's not a threat to him, more than slight abrasions from her fingernails. I don't care if we use the actual letter of the law to not charge, but I also don't care because it literally does possibly make perfect sense to go full-on domestic assault and do the whole thing. This is your opportunity to make the decision. Let's. Go ahead. I better go on one. You got this?
I'm making this decision. I'm going to cite him. I'm going to go follow through the first.
Would you feel more comfortable handling that guy?
Yeah.
Go handle that guy.
Go handle that guy? Okay.
If you're more comfortable.
Well, it's 6 one way, half dozen the other.
It's up to you.
I mean, it's a headache whether I go left or it's a headache whether I go right.
Another option is to not charge them but separate them for the night. If they find themselves together again, what is it to you? You separated them. You provided for his safety. If he doesn't have enough sense to stay away and you got him separated, it's on him.
We can't babysit him all night. That's not what I do. So it's up to them.
You can separate him and say, don't let this go off till tomorrow. If they don't let it go off and we hear about it, we'll hear about it.
They're camping in the park tonight. We'll let you know.
And if there's some fighting going on, you already was Mr. Nice Guy. You already gave him a chance. What you can't do, by law, is separate someone and say, if we hear from you again, we're going to arrest one of you. Because then if one of them really needs help, they may not call police and get help. The law says you cannot, literally, you may not say, if we get more problems with you guys tonight, one of you is going to jail. You can't threaten like that. Right. It's true because it stops them from wanting to call the police to get help. Does that make sense? Right. So, go full or nothing or in between and separate them and kind of give them the nod, the wink, like, hey, just stay separate. It's up to you. I'm going to go handle that. You got very capable help with you here, and I trust you.
I will. Alrighty, man. So we're still going to be going through. I do need some things from you, though. Do you mind if I get a picture of your driver's license?
Yeah, of course. I was thinking it was in parts like that. This is me.
Uh-oh.
I know this man has hair.
You said that this is still your mailing address, right? Mm-hmm. It's still the right way. Alright, and then... Ryan, what is the call number?
I just want to say thank you guys for helping us.
Oh yeah, no problem. Have a good day. My phone number? Yeah.
Alright, there we are. Can I get your phone number?
eye on that.
Okay, do you have any problems with me taking a picture of it? I have to have IDs and stuff like that for my investigation. Here. So, this is what I'm going to do. I've decided I am not going to cite you for domestic violence battery, okay? It was only going to be a Class B misdemeanor. However, the domestic violence portion of it enhances it. Makes life a major pain in the butt, especially you're 22, right? So I'm choosing not to cite you today. So you are not going to be charged with anything. Alright? But this is what I do have to do. I am separating the two of you tonight. Okay? I want you guys both to be tonight away from each other, relax, breathe, crying, because there's no reason to be crying now, okay? I understand that this can feel like it's a nightmare, but you're coming out as the golden flower on top of it, okay? So, you're going to be taking the van tonight, and you're going to go somewhere else. I am going to get him lined up for the hotel room tonight. I want you guys to stay away from each other. For both of you guys the same. From what you told me and what he told me, you guys have a bunch of little things that are building up, and finally the little string that you guys were tight walking on broke tonight. Does that sound about right? So, I just want everybody to breathe, get a chance away from each other, go eat a meal, talk to your parents, whatever it is you gotta do.
You here? Yeah.
Totally so. So, like I said, that's what I'm going to be doing tonight. Hold on. This is Officer Robbins. Oh. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, Phil. Is this your cell phone that I called? Okay. Well, go ahead and save my number into that phone, and I'll save your number, or this number, into my phone. That way I can contact the on-duty after-hours person. So, because I literally had to Google it, so. Perfect. Thank you, Phil. I appreciate your time. Alright. So, I've got him a hotel room tonight. So, here in just a minute, I have to keep you guys separated. For right now, don't contact each other, or don't wave at him, okay? Do you want me to say anything to him? Because I can do that for you. You want me to let him know that you love him and that you'll see him tomorrow and stuff like that? I can do that for you.
Make sure he doesn't forget a phone charger. Definitely good.
Oh, he's bad about that too?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make sure that he has a phone charger, okay? And if I have anything else, please keep your cell phone on so I can call you if I have any questions, alright?
Okay.
Alright, so just kind of sit tight for me real fast, and I'm going to talk to Brian. Alright, Brian, a couple things.
Couple things?
One, I got your hotel room tonight.
Thank you. It's better than that side.
So,
I like that side.
Number two, and this is probably the biggest one. She claims that she did not have intent to hurt you when she was slapping at you. So technically speaking, it does not fit the letter of the code. So I am not going to be charging her with DV
domestic violence.
Exactly. So, this is what I am going to do, however. I'm not going to release you guys together. I want you guys to stay away from each other tonight, okay? She's agreed to it. Take some time for yourselves. You guys both have the exact same story as to what led up to the incident. So, taking some time tonight, specifically, taking tonight away from each other is going to be the major breaker in all of this. I think that'll help you guys, especially tomorrow when you guys meet up. So she does have a couple of messages for you. One, she says she loves you. She's looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Two, don't forget a cell phone charger.
Yeah, good. He watched me fumble around the entire 3 laps around the car to find one.
Did you find one?
Found one.
Okay. The other thing is I don't want you guys to contact each other.
No,
okay, unless
when he said that she gonna text me or whatever, I was gonna send her a message that said, please don't message me, but I love you. But
tonight,
don't do anything. Yeah. And I'm with
she's passing on her love and saying goodnight and stuff like that, all that interview stuff that I do to my wife too, okay? So
I appreciate it coming from you.
Just so don't just try to not contact each other unless, like I said, earth shattering, something happens, you guys have to jump in the car right now and drive back to Florida because something happened to parents, that kind of circumstance. Yeah, you don't. Exactly. Other than that, just have a meal by yourself, catch your breath. You're going to be in a hotel room watching TV. It's probably been a few months since you actually got to sit down, relax, and some air conditioning and watch TV. So take some time for you guys yourselves. Yeah, take a shower, man. You got to change your clothes. You got some chonies in there, right? All right, good. Because they're going to have everything that you need, shampoo, conditioner, all that good stuff. All right. Our main concern is make sure that you have cell phone charger so you guys can go tomorrow. Okay?
I really appreciate it. So,
I am going to walk her over here to the car. Okay? And if you'll just go stand over here in front of his pickup real quick, we'll get her out of here and I'll be right over here. Alrighty?
You were right here.
Absolutely. Alrighty, Gabrielle, you want to step out for me? As you can see, I have keys in my hand, which is good news, okay? So, something that I do, that I emphasize to him, and I don't know if I emphasize to you or not, don't text each other tonight. He wants to pass on the same message you passed to him. He's really looking forward to talking to you again, but I told him and you, unless there's earth-shattering emergency news, don't text tonight, okay? Even with the good nights, I love you. He's saying good night now. He's saying he loves you now, and you guys can talk tomorrow morning, okay? He's going to go to the hotel. I'm going to give you the keys to the van. What you all have. Alrighty? So, here's that. I'm giving him a ride over to the hotel, okay? So, everything's going to be okay.
Will it be a far drive for me to get him in the morning? I'm just curious.
I'm not going to tell you where he's going to be at tonight. Like I said, I want you guys to be separated. But I can tell you this.
I just don't usually drive the van, so I just want to make sure it's not like far away.
No. It's
okay.
It's basically from here to Moonflower. Okay. It's not far at all. So let's get you in the van. Let's get you on your way. Alrighty. You want that Gatorade, by the way?
Okay.
You got enough water? Also, something I want you to know. Here, stand over here real fast for me. If you go over to City Market, they have a list of places where you can get yourself a shower for like $4 or $5, something like that. They're pretty cheap. A place where you can shower, decompress, de-stress a little bit. Alrighty?
Yeah, I just showered yesterday at one of those.
Well, you didn't have today happen yesterday, so it does my wife wonders. When she gets stressed out, it's like, get in the shower. Come on, just get in the shower.
Really relaxing.
Go take a shower, relax, take some time for yourself, and like I said, don't text each other tonight. Text each other tomorrow morning after your eyes open up and you're fully awake, had your coffee, or your morning routine, okay? All right, Jessica. You have a good night, okay?
Thank you.
All right.
I got the ladder, I get the bottom of it, it's just the rattlesnake. It's just a contact. So,
You ready for a ride? My door's open. Just climb in the back seat for me. Yeah, you can put your backpack back there too. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sorry about that approach. I don't know what the hell I was doing.
It's all right. It was an interesting pull-in. So
Thanks, man.
Daniel, by the way, if I didn't formally introduce myself, I'm Daniel. I'm 229. So if you hear that, you know you're not 223.
Ryan.
See, I hear you guys all the time. I've got places to lunch. So nice meeting you guys. We'll see ya. What's that?
You listen to Rob Zombie.
You like it?
I was wondering if you get to play your own personal music in the
Heck yeah, dude. I got my own phone hooked up to this thing.
You're just jamming all day?
Yeah. Hey man, it's not too hard to go a few hours without having anything interesting happen or anything to get the old blood pumping real good, you know what I mean? So.
I stuck my hands up because I didn't want to scare you when you pulled over.
Oh, no, you're... That wasn't a traditional stop, to say the least, so don't feel bad. SO2T9. Didn't already know. She did want to pass on her good nights and loves yous and stuff like that, okay? And she understands that I didn't tell her where you're staying because, like I said, I'm trying to keep you guys away from each other for tonight.
Where did you say I was going?
Say that again?
Where did you say I was going?
I just told her that you were going to a hotel. Okay? So, like I said, it's my request, not legally obligated to hold to it, but I want you guys to take some time away from each other because it will make world of difference. Oh, you're not in any trouble? You got handcuffs on? I didn't tell you that I'm taking you to the jail. No, I told you I'm taking you to the hotel. So, like I said, my main concern, I told her to go take a shower like I told you to, because she seems a lot like my wife. And things that really works for my wife is when she gets stressed out to go take a long hot shower. So I gave her a place to go where she can get a hotel room, or not a hotel room, but get a shower tonight for like $4 or $5, really cheap. So, no problem.
They do work on her too.
Well, I've got quite a few. Like I said, my wife has really, really bad anxiety, and she takes medication for it daily, and sometimes it's just not enough. Sometimes it builds up and it happens. I mean,
I think definitely my doctor told me that I prescribed me medication, but I don't. I felt like if I took the medication, I'd like put myself off balance, and then I'd be more anxious. That's why it's part of my anxiety.
Well, I will say this. When my wife got put on the medication, within a week, I saw a complete turnaround in her attitude, her demeanor. I mean, she wasn't nearly as aggressive or angry or anything like that. It was a considerable difference in her day-to-day life. It made her quality of life better even. You know what I mean?
No, I know what you're saying.
And it's made my quality of life a lot better too, because I don't have her being as stressed. I know that 5.5 years of marriage, I know it's not very long, but at the same time, you learn a lot in the first 5 years. How long you guys been together?
I would say, well, we've known each other since the start of high school. But in our relationship, it's been 3 and close to 4 years.
Wow.
A little while. So definitely the 5 months of traveling together, I've been like green, but we're also like right on top of each other.
I used to drive a truck.
What's that?
I used to be a commercial motor vehicle driver, you know, the big trucks.
Oh, yeah?
And I took my wife with me, and we would easily spend a couple months on end without going home or anything like that, being cooped up in a little 8x8 cage is what I called it, because you didn't have any time to yourself, so to speak. You didn't have time to, you know, you're going through Arizona, you can't just turn off the road and go see the Grand Canyon or anything like that. So,
whatever you do too, it's you the other person, something like I'm trying to paint or something, or I'm making myself a snack. It's like, you know.
well, that was one of the major advantages of having her with me, was I could say, hey, I'm hungry, can you get me something to eat? She was able, because I was driving and she wasn't, she was able to go back, get into the cooler, make us lunch or whatever, you know. So, there was that as an advantage.
If you ever think that it'd be better to do this before I always go, I think you're wrong. I think it's a lot better. It just makes life easier.
Yeah.
So good.
I've lived here, I'm just shy of 2 years living out here, but my grandfather's lived out here for like 40. So I've been through here a couple of times. But, you know, growing up in California, have you ever been there?
Yeah. 2 years ago, we did a cross-country trip, and
I love driving the one. I absolutely love it. But
we're really looking forward to getting back there. And it's beautiful here, but those are just definitely looking on the boards. Come from like New York and the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah.
All trees and waterfalls and rivers, and you come here and it's going.
Well, if you hit
where's the water?
If you take the 80 across to get into California, takes you up over Donner Pass and into Sacramento. It's not any different at all. But you said you're going to be going up to Oregon to see her grandmother or her grandmother's friend. So you'll be probably be coming down the 5. You won't be able to tell the difference between California and Oregon up there. Except for the fact that there's going to be a sign that says "Welcome to California." But at the same time, since you're going to be coming from the east side of Oregon, you're going to be driving through Oregon and going, "There's no difference between Utah." It's actually desert in the southeast corner of Oregon. It's a lot of high desert atmosphere like what this is. It's not the Red Rock or anything like that, but it's just, there's nothing out there for 120 miles, it seems like.
What was your favorite part of growing up in California? I mean parks, just going up to the hiker.
Parks?
Like a hiker growing up?
Look, if you don't hit Sequoia National Park while you're in California, you are doing yourself a disservice. If you don't go and see Yosemite while you're in California, you're doing yourself a
Yosemite, I regret not being there alone. We stayed there for 3 nights, and it was
it's like coming to Utah. You come here with the intention of 1 or 2 days, and then it turns into a week, and you're like, well, what happened to the time? Yeah, trust me, I get it.
Building the van was so great just because the Nissan Sentra, if you tried to camp out somewhere, you could camp in like the sleepover Walmart type situations.
Yeah.
Now it's all BLM land, and it's
wherever you want.
Watching shooting stars as we go to bed. So I was excited to go back.
But yeah, sorry, my radio was going off. But no, Sequoia National Park, there is nothing like it. Gotta see the General Sherman tree. You gotta go and see Morrow Rock and climb to the top. If you like hiking, it's about a 1.5 mile hike. Well worth it.
Awesome.
Gotta do it. It's really, really cheap for their tent sites up there. Do you have a National Park Service pass?
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's, I think it's the dream. It's $90 or no, $80 once, and it's like you go to 3 parks, it already pays for it. It's like 8 to 15.
Exactly. Well, the other thing of it is with that drive, if you go through Yosemite, you'll drop down into Fresno, and then you'll turn off to go to Kings Canyon National Park. If you drive through Kings Canyon National Park, the road literally takes you through to Sequoia National Park. And the Kings Canyon is actually bigger than the Grand Canyon. Yeah, I'm dead serious. And it is a sight to behold. I'll tell you what. And then it takes you straight into Sequoias. And then when you get into, I think they call it Sierra Highway still up there. But you'll take that down and you'll pop up into a town called Three Rivers. It's where I'm from.
Three Rivers?
Yep.
So it wasn't terribly far from Sequoia, right?
My house, I think the furthest I lived away from it was like 12 miles from the entrance.
Oh, man. There you go.
I just hope you don't get motion sickness because it's I think I counted it out to like 32 hairpin turns, and it's about 25 miles an hour the whole way up and down. It's very, very slow. It takes about an hour to travel that 30 miles, 35 miles, whatever it is. But it's worth it.
I grew up in Queens and Forest Hills, and then I moved out to Long Island. Kind of surrounded a handful of other spots. Being in New York, you kind of not landlocked. That would get to like the mountains and hiking.
Yeah.
We're gonna come in here and we're gonna come talk to Tyson real quick. Tyson?
Yep.
Officer Robbins Phil called for me.
He did, yes.
This is Brian Laundrie.
Alright.
So he's gonna get you all set up with your hotel room, and he's gonna take care of it from here.
Alright. Well,
Alrighty?
thank you so much.
And like I said, just remember my requests. I think it'll make a big difference in your guys' next couple weeks at the very least.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for everything.
No problem. It's nice to meet you, Brian.
Nice to meet you.
Have a good one.
Alright, so it's already...
Witness statement. Okay, so this is the Moab City Police Department statement, 8/12/2021, 4:30. Chris, everything else is redacted. 5'6", 160 pounds. Hair, it's like blonde, blue, white. I, Chris, give the following statement to officers. Okay, so this is his, that's just the standard procedure. At approximately 4:30 p.m., I arrived at Moonflower, and while standing on this south side of the street, I observed a man and a woman appear to have some sort of dispute. They were talking aggressively at each other, and something seemed off. At one point, they were sort of fighting over a phone. I think it says he may took the female's phone. It appeared that he didn't want her in the white van. He got into the driver's seat and she followed him. At one point, she was punching him in the arm or face and trying to get into the van. She eventually climbed in over him and over to the passenger seat. I heard her say, "Why do you have to be so mean?" I wasn't sure how serious he was. It was hard to tell if they were sort of play fighting, but from my point of view, something definitely didn't seem right. It was as if this guy was trying to leave her and maybe take her phone. Not sure, but wanted to help out. I noticed another person had called this in, and as I left the store, I noticed a police officer and gave him my contact information. So that's the other report. And then we also have the report after the incident that was written up. And we're going to bring that over and look at that. And then, like I said, okay, you should have seen the police cam now. And so this is the written report. So this is the case. It's closed August 12th to August 12th, 4:30 to 6:04. Disorderly conduct is what they said. Reporting party was a witness. Then they had Brian Christopher Laundrie, victim, Gabrielle Benora Petito, suspect. Vehicle is that Ford Transit van. And here's the incident, and they say, this is Eric Pratt, says on 8/12, MCPD officers were dispatched to a report of a domestic problem that had taken place near Moonflower Co-op. It appeared that a male and a female had left the scene, traveling north on Main in a white Ford Transit van with a black ladder on the rear. The male and the female had engaged in some sort of altercation. It wasn't clear, but I believe it was reported the male had been observed to have assaulted the female. So this officer knew that, right here, okay? I heard other officers report that they were off to look for a vehicle, and being that I had to pass the Moonflower in order to get to the main street, I stopped there to see if any witnesses were still in the area, and I found one, identified as Chris, and last name redacted. I took down his phone number and left the scene because I heard Officer D. Robbins tell dispatch he located the suspect vehicle near the turn to Arches National Park. I heard him state that upon initiating a traffic stop, he observed the vehicle leave its lane and strike the curb before stopping near the entrance to the park. I arrived on scene and observed as 2 park officers also arrived. I assisted Officer Robbins with his investigation until I was called away to a report of an intoxicated male near MRH posing a safety risk to himself and others. Before leaving, I spoke with the male driver of the van, the female passenger, and also called Chris to get more information from him. All 3 individuals gave me a similar and consistent story consisting of the basic idea that the driver of the van, a male, had some sort of argument with the female, Gabby, as I recall. The male tried to create distance by telling Gabby to go take a walk to calm down. She didn't want to be separated from the male and began slapping him. He grabbed her face and pushed her back as she pressed upon him in the van. He tried to lock her out and succeeded, except for the driver's door. She opened that and forced her way over him and into the vehicle before it drove off. No one reported that the male struck the female. No, that's not true. Both the male and the female reported that they are in love and engaged to be married and desperately didn't wish to see anyone charged with a crime. There were no significant injuries reported, and both agreed that Gabby suffers from a serious anxiety, etc. It appeared that this incident was more accurately categorized as a mental/emotional health break than a domestic assault. I had to leave, but I understand that Officer Robbins got the male lodging through Safe Haven. That should be Safe Haven. Gabby retained possession of the van, and they agreed to separate for the night. No charges were filed, and no one wished for charges to be filed or for the separation to take place, although that was at the minimum what Officer Robbins required in lieu of making a case against Gabby for domestic assault. Gabby is a 22-year-old female who's approximately 5'2" to 5'4" and 110 to 120 pounds, while her fiancé is older, he's only 1 year older, taller and much heavier than her. He had no fear for his safety and did not exhibit any indicators that he may be a victim of battered boyfriend syndrome, etc. He was assessed to be a low risk or danger or harm as a result of his proximity to his fiancée Gabby. Nothing further. EOS, EMP. Then Robbins Daniel Scott says on 8/12/2021 at approximately 16:44 hours, I responded to a possible domestic violence in progress call. A van with both a female and male and female as occupants was reported leaving the area of 39 East 100 northbound on Main Street. One of the witnesses described the vehicle as a white Ford Transit van with a black ladder on the rear with Florida license plate QFT G03. Witness Christopher Redacted reported seeing a male later identified as Brian Laundrie and a female later identified as Gabby Petito arguing over a phone. Christopher stated that when Brian got into the van, he saw what appeared to him as Gabrielle hitting Brian in the arm and then climbing through the driver's window as if Brian had locked her out and was trying to find a way in. I located the white van that matched the description on North Main Street at the Highway 128 turnoff, and after I crossed the bridge, I was able to catch up to the van at the turn off Arches National Park. I confirmed the vehicle's license plate and initiated the stop. I followed the vehicle as it continued towards the entrance gate at Arches National Park, and I noticed the van traveling at approximately 45 miles per hour in a 15 mile per hour speed zone. After I activated my lights to initiate a traffic stop, I watched the van cross the double yellow dividing line in lane 1, merge to lane 2, and abruptly swerve to the right. When the vehicle swerved, both the front and rear passenger side wheels hit the curb. A short distance before the entrance gate, the vehicle came to a stop. I approached the vehicle and saw the only occupants being Gabrielle and Brian. Gabrielle, who was in the passenger seat, was crying uncontrollably. I asked Gabrielle to get out of the vehicle to speak with me. Gabrielle told me that she suffers from redacted. She continued because of her redacted combined with little arguments she and Brian had been having that day. She was struggling with her mental health, which led to the incident that was reported to law enforcement. Gabrielle stated that when she saw my light, she hit Brian in the arm to get his attention, which in turn caused him to hit the curb while I was following them. I asked Gabrielle if her intention was to hurt Brian, and her response was that she did not intend to hurt him, but rather get his attention to notice me as I was behind them with my lights on. At no point in my investigation did Gabrielle stop crying, breathing heavily, or compose a sentence without needing to wipe away tears, wipe her nose, or rub her knees with her hands. After I sat Gabrielle in the back seat of my car, I asked Brian to step out of the vehicle to speak with me. He told me that they both suffer from blank, and although her blank is more advanced than his, issues between the two had been building over the last few days. This in turn caused them to argue more than usual. Brian told me neither he nor Gabrielle take medication for their redacted. Brian explained he and Gabrielle have been traveling together for the last 4 to 5 months. This time spent created emotional strain between them and increased the number of arguments. While arguing near Main Street, he had attempted to separate from her so that they could both calm their emotions. He got into their van and Gabrielle had gone into a manic state. Brian said Gabrielle thought he was going to leave her in Moab without a ride. She went to slap him. As Gabrielle started to swing, Brian pushed her away to avoid the slap, and as a result, Gabrielle, off balance, but still caught Brian's face with some fingers, causing some minor visible scratches. Brian continued that when he had seen my lights, he thought Gabrielle had grabbed the wheel of the van and pulled it, causing the van to hit the curb. I observed some small scratches to Brian's right arm, and when I asked him about them, he supposed they must have happened when Gabrielle was trying to get his attention about me being behind them with the lights on. This, however, was not consistent with Gabrielle's statement, further suggesting her confused and emotional state. After evaluating the totality of the circumstances, I do not believe the situation escalated to the level of a domestic assault as much as that of a mental health crisis. I had determined the most appropriate course of action would be to separate the parties for the night so that they could reset their mental states without interference from one another. And although they did express a desire to remain together, they both ultimately agreed to be separated until the following day. Accordingly, I was able to contact Safe Haven and get Brian a hotel room for the night. I instructed both Brian and Gabrielle to take advantage of this time apart to relax their emotions and regain control of their anxiety. I also asked them to avoid contacting each other until the next morning, if at all possible. Gabrielle maintained possession of the white van while I transported Brian to the hotel. They did both have their own cell phones in case of emergency. Around 1900 hours, I went to Redacted, where witness Christopher Redacted lived, and had him fill out a statement. Christopher told me that he was not entirely sure what it was he had seen, but feared the worst, which is why he came forward as a witness and agreed to complete a written statement. Body camera video is available on evidence.com. The statement from Christopher has been filed at the Moab City Police Department. End of report, D. Robbins, 8/13/2021. So the Fairfield Inn is going to be the next place, and that is where Gabby stayed from August 17th through the 24th, when Brian allegedly flew back to Florida to move some items from a storage unit back into his family's Northport, Florida house. This seems really strange that he would fly back and forth to do that, and we've heard this from her mother, but not seen any proof that it is true. So I don't know if this is something that she was just told or if it really happened. But regardless, Brian and Gabby were seen leaving that Fairfield on the 24th. That would have been right after he came back. On August 19th, and it appeared she was working heavily on her social media websites at that time. On August 19th, a video uploaded to YouTube, Van Life, was the beginning of their YouTube channel, and it's the only video that's up there. The 8-minute video on the channel called Nomadic Static shows the pair in various locations, driving through the salt flats in Utah, tent camping, cooking meals, and other highlights. August 24th and 25th, they're at the Monarch in Ogden, and the 25th is Gabby's last Instagram post. She had the FaceTime or video call with her mother on the 25th, and that's her last absolutely known contact. Final Instagram post is August 25th. Happy Halloween. August 25th, there was a possible sighting by a witness of their van at a parking lot at Jenny Lake. Okay, August 26th, someone named Jessica Schultz said she saw the van. She saw Brian parking the van at Spread Creek. She said she passed it several times. August 27th, the Mary Piglet's restaurant. Now, a New Orleans couple was in town for a wedding, and they said they saw who they believed to be Brian and Gabby, and that Brian was aggressively upset and arguing with waitstaff at this restaurant. He left and came back a few times, and then Gabby returned to apologize. On August 27th, Red, White, and Bethune is a YouTube channel. They were traveling in this area of this Spread Creek, and they reviewed their footage. They found that they saw this van. Now this didn't happen on August 27th that they reviewed their video and found this. This happened recently. But this is when the van was spotted, is what I mean to say, okay? So they took the video that they would later send to the FBI, where they spotted this van, the transit, at 6 to 6:30 p.m., and there was a pair of flip-flops behind the van at the Spread Creek camping area on August 27th. Now, there was a TikToker, I call it questionable because there's red flags. She doesn't describe him wearing the right clothing. She describes him wearing boots and long sleeves. She says he wants to give her $200 for a 10-mile trip, but then he abruptly gets out, okay, and that she drops him off at Jackson Lake Dam at around 6:09 p.m., okay? Again, that TikTok account started just to cover that. She gained a tremendous amount of followers because of it. Is it legit or not? I see a lot of red flags, so I'm just putting that there. September 1st, there's a license plate reader that captures Gabby's van entering Northport, Florida, and it's around, I think it's 10:46 a.m. that happens on September 1st. Now, September 10th, okay, Gabby Petito's father was involved in what is referred to as a public service incident at the Laundrie home in Northport before Gabby is reported missing by her mother, Nikki Schmidt, the next day. This incident occurred at around 6:30 p.m. on September 10th. There was a police response to the home, and the police returned twice the next day on the 11th in follow-up investigations. Okay, so on September 11th, Gabby Petito's family reported their daughter missing to the Suffolk County Police Department at approximately 6:55 p.m. The Northport Police Department in Florida became the lead agency in that case. Brian Laundrie declined to speak with investigators, who were instead provided with information from the family's attorney, Stephen Bertolino. Gabby's van was recovered by the Northport police at the house, Brian Laundrie's house. Okay, and September 13th, Gabby's mother and stepfather held a tearful press conference begging for the public's health, finding their daughter.
We don't eat, we don't sleep, we're just actively looking for her. I believe a mother's instinct is the most powerful.
Okay, so they had that tearful press conference begging for the public's health. September 13th, Gabby Petito's mother, Nicole Schmidt, and her stepfather, Jim, held a tearful press conference, and they begged the public for their help in finding Gabby. Quote her mother saying, "At least 3 times a week we would FaceTime, call, text frequently. She kept me updated on this whole trip. The first couple of days I wasn't getting responses. I believed she was in a place with no service. It was day 8, 9 that I became really concerned." September 14th, the Laundrie family shared a statement through their attorney, saying, "This is understandably an extremely difficult time for both the Petito family and the Laundrie family. It is our understanding that a search has been organized for Ms. Petito in or near..."
Hello, and good morning. It is really nice and sunny today.
And that Miss Petito is reunited with her family. On the advice of counsel, the Laundrie family is remaining in the background at this juncture and will have no further comment. The FBI was also processing the camper van, and that came from the Northport Police. September 15th, Brian Laundrie was named a person of interest. Now we know from search warrants that there were search warrants being procured at this time. So he was named a person of interest in the case. And the Northport Police said as of now, Brian has not made himself available to be interviewed by investigators nor has he provided any helpful details. So the Petito family then released a new statement through their lawyer saying, every day the search for Gabby continues. The Schmidt and Petito family becomes more desperate. They are frantically searching for answers and information in their daughter's disappearance while Brian sits in the comfort of his home. Brian claims he wants to sit in the background while we search for Gabby in the wilderness of the Grand Teton and Yellowstone National Parks. Brian left Gabby in the wilderness with grizzly bears and wolves while he sits in the comfort of his home. In his home. Brian, how could you do this to Gabby? You selfishly remain silent while Gabby is all alone in the wilderness. Brian, your silence is reprehensible. We beg you to do the right thing and help us bring Gabby home. Brian, whatever happened in Wyoming happened. The only thing you can control is what you do now. Tell us where Gabby is. You tarnish your love for her with your silence. Gabby's stepfather, Jim Schmidt, traveled from New York to Jackson, Wyoming to help in the search for Gabby. September 16th, the National Park Service, the Grand Teton and Yellowstone post about Gabby's disappearance on social media where body camera video from the couple's encounter with the Utah police was officially released. The Laundrie family attorney declines to comment about the video in an email they sent to media station Fox 13 News. Authorities say that this is still a missing persons case, not a murder investigation, and that no intensive searches have begun because it's unclear exactly where authorities might look. Todd Garrison, who's the Northport police chief, said we're still trying to nail down the geographic areas. There's a lot of information we are going through. Our focus is to find Gabby. In a separate news conference, an attorney who represents the Petito family read a letter that was penned by the group to the Laundrie parents, and they plead with Christopher and Roberta Laundrie to tell law enforcement what they know about the last time they saw that their son saw Gabby, saying that we are writing this letter to ask you to help find our beautiful daughter. We understand you are going through a difficult time and your instinct to protect your son is strong. We ask that you put yourselves in our shoes. We haven't been able to sleep or eat and our lives are falling apart. We believe you know the location where Brian left Gabby. We beg you to tell us. As a parent, how could you let us go through this pain and not help us? As a parent, how could you put Gabby's younger brothers and sisters through this? Gabby's father arrived in Northport, Florida to plead with the community to keep looking for his daughter. Demonstrators started to stand outside the Laundrie home on the evening of September 16th, holding signs reading, "Bring Gabby home, truth always comes out, justice for Gabby, and would she bring you home?" There was a time when the Grand County Sheriff's Office was looking into Gabby's disappearance along with a double homicide of newlyweds at a campground outside of Moab in August, which was later deemed unrelated. The newlyweds there were 38-year-old Crystal Turner and 24-year-old Kylan Schulte. They were found shot to death at a campground southeast of Moab on August 18th. Schulte worked at the Moonflower Community Cooperative in Moab, which is the same location that Gabby and Brian got into that fight on August 12th, prompting the police response, and it was captured on body cam video. September 17th, police say they were working around the clock on the investigation and they have some new leads. The Northport police spokesperson Josh Taylor said, of course, the frustration remains with one of these two people that went on this trip that we know is right back here in this community. Adding that investigators will continue to ask Brian and the Laundrie family to cooperate. The whole narrative can change at any moment. Brian can walk right through these doors and we'll go through the complete process, professional process of asking him what the heck happened here. On the evening of September 17th, we watched as police spoke with the Laundrie family at their request. And then we found out the shocking news that Brian was not there. There were protesters all over. They were screaming, bring him out, bring him out. They thought he was inside the house. They found out that he was not inside the house. And this is shortly after Northport police said they knew exactly where Brian was. Then they said that Brian is missing, and now there are 2 missing persons cases. Family said that they hadn't seen Brian since Tuesday when he left with a backpack to go to the Carlton Reserve to go for a hike. Police were searching September 18th that reserve. It's almost 25,000 acres in Sarasota County. It's full of alligators, snakes, all kinds of creatures, mosquitoes, swampy land. And they have just been searching this vast reserve based on the information the parents gave them. Now, this gray Ford Mustang was found parked there. The parents said they brought it home on Thursday, but the media that was camped outside the Laundrie home said that's not true because it was home on Wednesday. Is that a wild goose chase? Many of us believe it is, okay? September 19th is when those YouTubers that have that video from the 27th shared that out there, and so that helped them just, pinpoint a location to search, and they found a body believed to be Gabby, and they were confident enough that on Sunday there was a news conference. That was the 19th, and condolences were extended to the Petito instrument families, so they just needed the official identity confirmed, and that was confirmed on Monday, the 21st. Okay, also on Monday came the manner of death as a homicide. Cause of death and everything else was not released. It still has not been released to this point. The lawyer called a press conference. The Laundrie family attorney was going to do a press conference September the 21st. Then it was, my goodness, then it was canceled because of a conversation with the FBI is what the attorney said, and then said don't infer too much into that. Okay, so the 911 call was released from August 12th on September 20th as well. September 21st, that was Tuesday, the coroner confirms the remains are indeed Gabby and the manner of death is homicide. That's the Teton County coroner, Dr. Brent Blue. Neighbors were getting more upset. One neighbor said of the Laundrie, said, I'm really upset now. The Laundrie should have absolutely come forward. Charlene Guthrie told Fox News, I can't believe they didn't do something. I'm really angry now that they let this go. And everything was so natural and they remained so normal through this whole thing, while they were here till he went on the run. Well, the Guthries are also the couple that came forward and said that they saw Brian and his father working on this new camper top that they got for the father's truck, and that they left for a camping trip, the 3 of them, before Gabby was reported missing, about a week after Brian came back. And there's a lot of speculation on what that camping trip really was. And was it somewhere where they loading supplies in this camper? Did they leave them somewhere? Did they help their son escape somewhere? All of that. Is this reserve thing just a wild goose chase from this Laundrie parents? They really need to fess up here. The 22nd, they entered their 4th day, again focusing on the Venice side of the park. On the 21st, they suspended searching in the reserves, but they started it up on the 22nd, again on the Venice side of the reserves, and they've been searching in there every day, and it's been fruitless. Today, which is the 23rd, the updates for today is that the Mustang, okay, was taken away, was towed away on Tuesday, and today the parents left the house in the red truck. The mother came back driving the Mustang, father came back driving the truck. The mother parked the Mustang, got into the red truck took off, and police were behind it in unmarked cars, and the attorney for the Laundrie said that the police were surveilling the Laundries. Okay, so that was really the updates for today. I'm going to see if there's any more up to date before we end this video with, let me see here. We have breaking news. Okay, here. The U.S. District Court of Wyoming issued a federal arrest warrant for Brian Christopher Laundrie. Okay? Mr. Laundrie's activities, related to Mr. Laundrie's activities following the death of Gabby Petito. So, on the 18th, the lawyer said all of Gabby's family want the world to know that Brian is not missing, he is hiding, Gabby is missing. And now there is an arrest warrant. This is breaking news. Okay, so here we go now. We've got some breaking news here. The Laundrie family attorney, Stephen Bertolino, tells us the parents went to Orlando to meet with him. Police say they are done searching the day at the Carlton Reserve. They'll be back tomorrow, going live at 6:30. Lots of developments. Oh my goodness, so many developments. I have to go live. We will finish this coverage later. The FBI says that on September 1st, Laundrie used a debit card and pinned access to accounts. The FBI says Laundrie is wanted for the use of unauthorized access related to the activities following the death of Gabby Petito. There's an arrest warrant out here. You're commanded to arrest Brian and bring him. Okay, I'm going to end this here because I will finish this timeline video later. I've got to get live with this right now. Okay guys, so today is September 24th and he has still not been captured. Now there is an arrest warrant out for him. It's not for murder, it's for what he did after she was killed. And it's about the debit cards and accessing accounts, but that's a way to get him in. Yet they still have not found him. They're searching those reserves. Today, the search was moved towards the Northport area. They were in that Venice area for about 2.5 days. And now there's like a little bit of a police presence going on at the house. So we're not sure what that is. I'm probably going to go live about that. But I want to leave this timeline here right now. There is a memorial service planned for Gabby on Sunday from 12 to 5, open to the public. And that's where I'm going to end this so that I can get this up while, people can catch up with this case, and our prayers and our hearts go out to the whole Petito and Schmidt family. And may Gabby rest in peace. Thank you for watching.